Hi everyone. So the first thing I want to mention is that my computer is currently rendering another Lazykh video. And you can see it's doing about 3 frames per second, which means it's going at around 1/10 of real time of the video, since the video is 30 frames per second. So that means that to make a 10-minute video, it's going to take an hour 40 minutes, which is movie length. And maybe that sounds really slow, but again, as the human, I don't have to do anything at the time, so I can spend this time doing other stuff, like showering, because I haven't done that yet today. But for this video, I think it's just going to be all over the place, because there's lots of things I just want to say, just so they're out there in the public. So the first few things are about Lazykh itself, and my plan with the channel was to upload way more frequently, and the whole reason I made all this code so I wouldn't have to animate is so that I could upload things more quickly. And that hasn't really happened so far, and the reason that is because me and a friend are currently working on more pieces of code that can make the process even faster, but those aren't ready yet. And I don't want to be super specific because I don't know how much we are okay with leaking yet, but basically we're hoping to integrate a little more community interaction, so people in the community can sign up and contribute some stuff too, so that again, I don't have to do it, and I also don't have to rely on Google Images, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. I don't have to do MS Paint. For this video, I drew over 100 images in MS Paint, which took like 3-4 hours, and that's not lazy at all. So that is something that needs to change. Another thing I want to say is that I know a ton of people have been telling me that on Google Images there is a setting where you can have it only give you images that are copyright free, or just that you can use them commercially without having a license. And to be honest, I feel like no YouTube video in the history of ever has ever been claimed because they used an image. I just don't think that the like technology or the willpower is there to claim an image, because images are so easily shareable. That's why memes spread so quickly. No one really says, you can't make that meme because I own that image. That doesn't really happen. But I just really wanted to play it safe. Also because I watched that video Tom Scott made about a month ago about copyright and how images, we think that we have free range to use them wherever we want, but we really don't, and it's just the image makers who are super generous and not really hounding on us. But that all being said, we, me and my friends and other people, are looking into ways to make it all faster. My computer's going to sleep, but that's okay because it's still going to be running, I think. Okay, yeah, so that's what's going on with Lazykh. You know, if I do an update and there's a message saying hey, join this Discord server so you can help out community interaction, then you know that's where you can check it out. The second thing I want to say is that my sleep schedule is kind of messed up because of, I don't know, being quarantined in the house all the time. I'm sure that is for everyone, but what I noticed myself doing lately is I'll get really sleepy at around 10 p.m., which sounds pretty early and normal, right? But then I'll take maybe an hour-long nap, and then that's it, and then I'll wake up around midnight, and then I don't know, I'll do stuff late at night, and then I'll actually fall asleep around 4 or 5 a.m. and wake up at noon. So that's really weird because yesterday I had a really bad headache. I mean, in my head, that's where all headaches happen, but I have this little divot in my head. I think I'll make a video about that too, but it really felt like the pain was coming from the divot, and every time I had a heartbeat, you can kind of feel the pain synchronized with the heartbeat. But the reason I say all of that is, okay, I thought if I can go to sleep, it'll be really nice because then I can kind of time warp hours in the future when I don't have the headache anymore. I also took, I took Advil or something like that, but I started having this headache around 8 or 9 p.m. So I'm okay, maybe I can take this hour-long nap. But because the headache is, it's making me more, not disabled, but less able. It's making it harder for me to function. Maybe I can turn the hour-long nap, that's usually just a siesta or whatever, into the full 8-hour rest. And then if I do that, then I'll be going to bed at 10 p.m. and sleeping at a normal time instead of at 4 a.m. or really, really late. So then I like climb into bed and then I wake up, my headache's completely gone, I'm relieved, and I look at the clock, it's 2 a.m. So it turns out I did not fall asleep for 8 hours, it was maybe 3 hours getting there, and then I said like, after staying in bed for an hour just awake, I was like, I'm not falling asleep, it's too early for this. So I went to my computer and I drew some Lazykh images, and then I went to bed for real at around 4 a.m. again. But I do think, you know, progress is being made because eventually those, like, it'll keep increasing in hours and then the siesta will overtake the normal sleep time. I don't know if the human brain works that way, but I'm hopeful. Okay, yeah, that's just a really long way of saying that I guess we're all trying to get better sleep schedules. I do think that making hundreds of Lazykh images can be a little meditative, just because it's fun to draw on a tablet way more than it is to animate. Because when you animate, you have to plan what you're going to do and keep track of, you know, multiple layers at once, multiple symbols moving around. And I feel like when you're drawing, it's more in tune with the more childhood side of me. It's like I can kind of draw without thinking that much. So I can relax, I can put on some calming music, and it's more fun that way. So I think having drawn 30 last night and 60 today, it could be fun if I choose to do it. But for most videos, I don't want to choose to make MS Paint images. Yeah. It takes hours and hours, and that needs to go away. Still faster than animating by about an order of magnitude, but still that's going to go away. The third thing I want to mention is, you may have remembered a couple weeks ago, I complained that someone essentially took my data set and made their own visualization of it using Flourish, and then posted that to the Data is Beautiful subreddit, and then they did it twice, and both of the posts got around 100,000 upvotes, which is like the higher end of the range that posts on Reddit can even get. So that's just like top of the list. And I was just thinking, I never credit myself in the data sets, so it just feels like I put in so much work to make this data set and I didn't really get anything out of it. So then I made my own post on the same Data is Beautiful subreddit the next day, and it's actually the same exact video that is on Abacaba from around April 9th. Now here's the thing, on YouTube, I make longer videos because I think YouTube likes it when watch time is higher. So for this time, I decided to make a 2-minute video because I thought that could catch the eye faster and maybe do better on Reddit. And I posted it to both YouTube and Reddit. And on YouTube, it actually did really badly. It's my lowest performing video on the COVID-19 pandemic. Like they all seem to plateau at around 500 or 600,000 views, and this one only got 200,000. But on Reddit, I got it to 45,000 upvotes, which is not as high as the 2 posts that came before it. But honestly, like, I'm happy to have at least, you know, tried to make my voice heard and then have it have a sizable response. Because if the general Reddit public sees 2 really, really popular posts about coronavirus stats, and they see a third, eventually they're going to start getting tired. So I'll take 45,000. It's not 100,000, but it's good enough. And it also means that, like, in the post title itself, I made it really long, but I tried to clarify that I'm the person who made the data set for the last 2 videos. And if someone sleuthing around wanted to figure out what's really happening, they would see that the usernames don't match up between the 3 posts, so they could see that the first 2 were by someone else, and then it makes it clear that I have this different username, but I was like important when it comes to the other 2. Yeah, so I'm just glad that happened. I also want to mention this because Reddit has a sort of mathematical function to figure out how post karma adds up into user karma, because there's sort of a diminishing returns effect where if you get a post with 1 trillion karma, you don't just get an extra trillion karma added to your account. I guess they want to make it so that someone who gets just 1 viral post doesn't instantly have a lot of karma. So the more points you get, the less each one will help you. And now I have a data point for myself to figure out what that sort of function is, because the bar graph chart video I made got 45,000 upvotes, but my profile, right before that post, I remember I just passed 10,000 karma. So I lurk a lot on Reddit. I don't post that often, so that's why I only had 10,000. But it was 10,000 before, and then right now it's like 19,900 or something. So that's just about 10,000 higher. So F of 45,000 equals plus 10,000, if that makes sense. So there's one data point. Yeah. I don't really know if that's important for anyone to know, but I think it's just cool that because I don't post that often to Reddit, it's very clear for me to see the exact outcome. I can measure the outcome of this 45,000 upvote post on my profile. People who post to Reddit every single day and are getting lots of upvotes on all of them every single day, it's going to be harder for them to exactly calculate how much every post affected them. Not that it really matters. I mean, I think accumulating karma on Reddit's kind of useless because no one really gets famous off of Reddit or gets an audience off of Reddit. I think that's the beauty of it because it's anonymous, so people can kind of, stay private while being public at the same time. And that's why I would never karma farm or whatever they call it. But I think this is all a big lesson. Clearly, short videos work well on Reddit. It has a different algorithm than YouTube, where long videos work. So, all creators out there are talking about having to diversify where they post their content. Well, here's just more proof that not only do you have to diversify your content, or diversify the platform, you also have to diversify the type of content that goes on each platform. You probably want like minute-long videos on Reddit, 10-minute videos on YouTube, and like 15-second videos on TikTok or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of science and tinkering around with things to figure out the exact maximum. Okay, that's all I want to say. Bye, everyone.